Hello and welcome to Model Train Fun. Today we're going to look at the Märklin 60881, which is the S88. The S88 is very handy for the automation, as we can use it for train detection. What the S88 really does is it detects whether or not the ground and one of the ports on the S88 are connected. We can use this for contact tracks, we can use it for circuit tracks, we can use it for infrared sensors, and we can also use it for the reed switches. So this is a very handy device. In this automation series, I will actually look at the contact track, and I will also in this video focus on the contact track as well. However, I will only briefly show how to connect the S88 to the contact track. For the extensive description on how to create contact tracks and how to troubleshoot contact tracks, please check the video on this channel, which is the automation episode 2. Now, when you got the S88, you can connect it to your Central Station 3. And if you have the Central Station 3 Plus, you can turn it around. And then you actually got a connector here at the bottom. This one here, you can connect the S88, so the Märklin 60881, directly to the Central Station 3 Plus. If you have the Central Station 3, so not the Plus model, you will not have this one underneath. And in that case, you need to buy the Märklin 60883. So this is the Link88 or the L88. This one here actually can connect to the back of your Central Station 3 instead of to the connector on the bottom. And when it connects to the Central Station 3, it has actually 3 buses, and these buses you can add the standard S88 to. Now you might think, should I have purchased the Central Station 3 Plus? Because then it comes directly with an S88 connector underneath instead of the CS3. I would say generally no. There's a lot of benefits with the Link88, which we'll talk about in the video as well. One thing though you need to remember when you buy the Link88 is you need a power supply as well. So the Link88 will not work without the power supply. Fortunately for me, so unfortunately I should say, I forgot to buy a power supply, but fortunately for me, it turns out that the switch power pack that actually comes with the starter sets actually also will work with the Link88. So that's really fortunate. It also means another thing. So if you buy a starter set, you have the mobile station, and you upgrade to the Central Station 3, you can still reuse your power supplies and all your devices from the starter set, which is really good. So I hope you enjoy the video. Let's first look at the Märklin 60881, which is the standard S88. So let's open the box and see what's inside. All right, we got warranty card, I believe. Let me just check. Yeah, warranty card. We got the manual, so don't forget to read the manual before you do the installation, and also read the safety instructions. We got a red notice here, and it says make sure you read the safety instructions, although it's hard to see here with the red. So again, it's a reminder of that. Then we got a cable here as well. So let's see if we can find the device itself. We have the device itself here. So if we look at the S88 here, and notice this is the AC version, so the Märklin 60881 is the AC version. There is actually also a Märklin 60882, which is for DC, And that's because it actually works differently when you want to detect trains on DC or DCC tracks. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, we got 2 ports up here. If we look at them here from the side, these are basically standard RJ45 connectors. And if we look at this one here at the cable, this is also a standard RJ45. So these are basically the ones, the Ethernet cables you use for your network at home. And as I understand it, you can also use these if you feel like it. However, it doesn't say anything in the manual about how long are you allowed to have these cables and so on. So please be aware of that. One thing it did say though in the manual is double check the pin connections. As I understand it, they are standard pin connections, so a standard Ethernet networking cable should work. If you look at it here, there are 2 arrows on it as well. So one arrow, or the arrows always point towards the root, so when you connect multiples together. So this one here that points away from the device is actually where you connect to the next S88 or to the central station tree. And this one over here, where you can see it kind of goes into the device, is for connections further down the line. Then here we got a set of ports here on the front, and you can see we got a ground here. We actually got it in both ends, and then we got port 1 through 16. In essence, the way the S88 works is it can detect when the ground and one of the ports are connected together. And that's actually how the detection works. Let's look at the Märklin 60883, which is the Link88. So this is the one you need if you got the central station tree. Then you need this one to connect as the first device. So let's open this one up and see what's inside. All right, we got a warranty card here. Let me just check. Yes, warranty card, always good to have. Then we got the same red notice as we had with the other one. Make sure to read the safety instructions. We got the manual as well. This one is actually pretty sizable and heavy, so lots of reading to do. And then we have the device itself. So here we have the S88 Link or the Link88. This one looks slightly different than before. So if we look at it, it has a black cable here. The black cable actually has a CAN bus connector. So this one here is to be connected directly to the central station tree. It also has the 16 ports like the normal one. So it has ground in each end and then 16 ports we can use for detection. Where it's very different is how it looks on the other side. So as you can see here, there are 3 buses. There are no arrows in this case because this one is the one that connects directly to the central station tree. So all the others need to point to this one, so to speak. So this is the route. You see there's a bus 1 and a bus 2. These one here both have the RJ45, so the standard networking cables. You can connect to it. There's no RJ45 networking cable with this one. Why is that? Because when you buy the next one to connect to this one, that will come with a cable that connects here. So that's bus 1 and 2. And then there's a bus 3 here. You see this one looks very, very different. This is actually the older style S88 from Märklin. So if we look at bus 1 and 2, here you can connect the new modern S88s. So the ones that popular are called S88 AC and S88 DC. So that's the Märklin 60881, which is the AC, which was the one we unboxed before. And then the Märklin 60882 which is for DC. So those you can connect to bus 1 and 2. Here to the bus 3, you can connect the old style. The old style are the Märklin 6088 and the 60880. So those ones you can connect to this one. So the good thing about the Link88 is you can actually connect all the types of S88 that exist. Additional to that, you see here, well, maybe I should turn it around. You see here there's a connector. It says 12 volts and 5 volts. So this connector here is used for choosing between whether or not the devices you connect are 12 volt devices or 5 volt devices. As I understand it, it's recommended by Märklin to leave it on the 12 volts, which are the ones that actually supports the modern devices, and also the ones that gives the most reliable detection. So which power supplies can you use with the Link88? Well, if we look in the manual, it actually states 3 power supplies, but I can only find the 2 of them. So you can either use the 66360. This is the 240 volt power supply you can use. This is also the one that is in the European starter sets. You can also use the 66360. So this is the one for the US or the countries with 120 volts. So you basically got those 2 you can choose between. I tried to search for the 66201. I think it's an older power supply, and I honestly don't know if it's supported or you can find it anymore. So the 2 power supplies you can use is 66360 for 240 volts and 66367 for the 120 volts. Let's have a comparison of the Central Station 3 and the Central Station 3 Plus. So if you look here to the left, I got the Central Station 3. This one basically must use the Märklin 60883, so the Link88 or L88 as the first S88 feedback device. That's the only way you can connect the S88 to it. After that, you can just continue and use the normal 60881 or even the 60882, so the S88 AC or the S88 DC feedback devices. On the Central Station 3 Plus, which we have here to the right, underneath it actually does have a connector where you can connect S88 directly to it. So in this case, you can actually start by just connecting the Märklin 60881 or the Märklin 60882 directly to the Central Station 3 Plus. However, you can also use the Link88 as well. Now, why would you consider using the Link88? Well, the Link88, so the Märklin 60883, has some benefits. First of all, it actually does have a separate power supply. So initially, when you buy the Link88, you might think that's annoying. I have to buy an extra power supply because that's going to cost me extra money. However, if you look at the power consumption on your layout, now that the Link88 is actually powered separately by a separate power supply, it will not draw the power out of the Central Station 3 and the valuable track power you have on your layout. In addition to that, it has 3 buses, so you can actually, you have 2 buses, so bus 1 and 2, where you can connect the modern S88 feedback devices, so the 60881 and 882. And then you have a bus where you can connect the old ones as well. So that's a 6088 and 60880. So the good thing now is if you have some old S88 devices lying around, or let's say you're even upgrading an old layout to have a central station tree, then you can actually make everything fit together. So that's really, really handy. In addition to that, the 60883, as we saw in the unboxing, has a little switch, so it can use the 12 volts for the devices instead of 5 volts. And as I understand it, this increases the reliability. What is a little hard to see out of the manual is when do you use 5 volt and when do you use 12 volt. As I read it, it seems like if you're using the modern devices, so the 60881 and the 60882, then you can actually use it in the 12 watt setting. If you're using the old devices, or let's say devices from other manufacturers that do not support 12 volts, then you have to set it for the 5 volt setting. The final benefit, which to be quite honest, I'm a little in doubt of, is I'm being told that it actually frees up some processing power on the CS3 as well. So the way the S88 works is that it has to be asked all the time. So the central station tree will ask each of the S88 devices, so is there somebody on port 1, is there somebody on port 2? And as I understand it, the Link88 takes over some of this processing power when you use this. However, I'm very unsure of that. But the first three benefits are very concrete, and you really should think about and consider using the Link88 even with the Central Station 3 Plus if you're going for large or very large or extremely large layouts. Before we start the installation, we need to prepare some wires. In order to do that, the wires I use is the Märklin 7100, which is the gray cable. And then we got the Märklin 7102, which is the brown cable. So basically I'm going to use the brown for the ground on the S88, and then I'm going to use the gray for the ports on the S88. In order to connect it to the track, we need to use the Märklin 74995. So these are the spade connectors here. We basically need to connect the cables to these. If we grab a gray cable here, all right, let me see. Need to find the end. Here's the end. So if we take the gray cable here, so we need to remove the insulation. All right. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little. So here we have the insulation removed. Then I'm going to take one of the spade connectors. So we got it here. And if we see it slightly here from the side, so under my thumb here, that's actually the connector. You see that's the connector to the track. Then we kind of got two things here. One place here where I want to have the electrical connectivity, and the other one to actually hold the insulation. So the way to do this is to put your wire in like this. So you see it's behind the first tab here on the wire on the spade connector, and when you have it in here, you can basically, let me just see if I can do it here, then you can take your plier. So you see I have here the gray right there, and then I can basically squeeze this together around the wire, because when I do this, it will actually hold it to the wire. Okay, and then now I got two choices here. I can either just squeeze this one here like this. Okay, I can basically just squeeze it together here like this, or I can solder it in place. Now the best thing to do is actually to solder it in place, so I will do that. Give me just a second. All right, I now prepared so I can solder it. And by the way, one thing I did forget in my eager to show it on the video is always tin the wires first. So tin the wire before you squeeze it in. However, let's see if we can still do it without tinning the wire. I'll apply a little tin on my soldering iron. Okay, and let's see if we can make it. It's basically a question of applying enough heat so you get a good solder. All right, let's see how that worked. Oops, I touched the camera. So let's see how well this looks. And now you can see it's been soldered. So basically you see the wire is being held by the last one here, and then we solder to the front one here, and then we're ready. So we go ahead and prepare the other wires like this. Let's look at how we install the Link88 or the Märklin 60883. So remember, I just prepared some wires. So here I have the brown one. In one end it has the spade connector, and I've soldered this one as well. In the other end, I just twisted it so it's ready to be connected to the Link88. I did the same thing for the gray wire. So let's look at the Link88. So let's first take this little wire thingy off. So the first thing we need to do, and evidently this is important, it says in the manual, first connect to the CS3, then connect to the power supply. I guess that also means when you power on, first power on the CS3 and then power on the power supply. Actually, if you could, probably best to power them on at the same time. But we have here a connector, and you can see this is one of the connectors that goes into the central station tree. So we need to find the right port on the central station tree. So I got my central station tree here, and I got the ports here underneath. And if we look at them, the port you need to put it into is the one with this symbol here. So it has a square with a thingy, and it is actually supposed to look like an arrow that goes in. So this is an input port. The other ones are actually for connecting multiple devices. So I have my connector here, and as you can see, there is kind of a little thing here. There's also a flat side here on the connector. See, if you turn it around, there's a flat side. The flat side actually needs to be down, and we need to connect it in this port here with the flat side down. And yes, I know on the video right now it's flat side up, but that's because notice I have the central station upside down, because then it's just easier to connect it. So we just gently push it into this one here, okay, and then it's connected. And then we have the power supply. We need to connect that one as well. Do remember, all the connections I'm doing here is with the power off. So now I have those two connected. Now I need to connect the wires to the ports on the Link88. Okay, so the first thing I do is I take my brown wire. I take here the end without the spade connector. So did I twist that right? You twist it and you don't tin it, and then we basically just put it into the connector here, and then we screw it in place. Oh, I need more hands I can feel. So I got it here, and we basically just tighten the screw on top. Okay, so it's tightened. All right, you see it's now connected here. It's connected to the ground, which is the first one. Give it a little tug to make sure it's okay. We need to do the same thing with the gray wire. Let me just find the gray wire here. So we had it as before, it's stripped and I twisted it. So I can connect that one to in this case is port 1. So if you look at the first green block down here, that's actually ground 1 and 2. So ground 1, 2, the next one is 3, 4, 5, and so on, all the way up till 15, 16, and ground here. You only need one of the grounds connected. So we insert this one here. All right. Yeah, need extra hands again. Okay, and then we screw it in, or tighten the screw. Okay, we give it a little tug. Okay, now everything is connected. So what did we actually connect? We connected first the wire here that goes to the central station 3. Let me just zoom out. So we connected here the wire to the central station 3. Then we connected the power supply. Then we have the ground as the brown, and then as many ports or gray wires as we need. We'll just start with the brown one port. If we look at the other end of the wire, so here I have the other end of the brown wire, there's the spade connector. If I look at the other end of the gray wire, I have another spade connector here. So now we are ready to turn on the central station 3 and the additional power supply. So now I've started the central station 3. So let's see if we can see the Link88. So the first thing I will do is take it out of stop mode. Then I will pull down the green tab up here. And then we can see there's already here an indication that something has happened. It says 1, so that usually means there's an update. So I click on the system. And then I'm inside the settings. Remember, if you are in here in the settings, you can always click back, and then you can find the blue settings here. When you're at the blue settings, you can click on the system. And now we see a new icon has appeared here where it says Link S88. And it has a 1 on there that usually indicates that it needs an update. So we click on this one here. And indeed, we do see that the update icon is over here to the right. So let's click that one and see what happens. It says an update to version 1.1 is available. Do you want to update this now? Yes, I will do that. And you see it goes automatically into stop mode. And then it updates the Link88. That's done. So now that's updated. So that actually means now that we have the Link88, and you see here it's been updated to version 1.1. So we are happy. That's all good. Now let's try and make a contact. So we close here. And then we go up to the top bar. I already have pulled down into the green. I will, however, pull down just a little further because then I want to filter this. So I would like to see all S88 contacts. So I click that and you see there's none here. However, there's a plus now. Let me click on the plus. And then I can go down here and click the S88 contacts. And now you see a new S88 actually appeared. However, since this is a central station 3 plus, it automatically assigned it to the built-in S88. You can see that up here in the upper left-hand corner. It says GFP3-1. That's actually the built one. If built-in S88, if we click on this one here, and then I go down, then you can see there's now a Link S88-1. So now if you have the central station 3, you will see the GFP3-1. If you only have the central station, if you have the central station 3 plus, you will see the GFP3-1. If you only have the central station 3, you will only see the Link S88-1. I click on the Link 88, and then now I create a contact. and now you can see it created a contact. Since it already used the name K1, it gave this one K2. So actually I would prefer the first one is called K1, so I go over here and I delete the K1 here, and then I go back, and then down here I select, see it's blue now, and I go down to the name in the lower right hand corner, and now I can actually delete this, and then I can call it 1. And why do I want to call it 1? Well, because this to me is port 1, so the contact 1 is port 1. Now when I created this one, let's go down and examine what it says down here at the bottom. It says it's the K1, I just changed the name. You can choose the bus here, and notice you can choose bus 1, 2, 3 or direct. So direct are the ports that are directly on the Link S88. This is what I want. You see I cannot choose any modules here, that's gray, but I can choose which contact it is, which in essence is which port is it. So you see I can increase this number or I can decrease it. I can also click on it and then enter a number. I want number 1. So that actually means now that this is my port 1 or contact 1. All right, so I hit OK. And you see, since I filtered before, my accessories list here shows only the contacts. Remember, the filter is up here. So now I'm going to go over and see if I can do anything with the wires. Give me just a second. All right, so here I have my Central Station 3 and the Link88. So you see here my Link88, I got the brown wire, and then I got the gray wire, and if we look at it close up, the brown wire is connected to ground, and the gray wire is connected to port 1. If you look at the Central Station 1, right now we have K1, and it doesn't show anything. Now in order to test this, we basically just need to touch the gray wire that comes out of port 1 to the brown wire, and then we should see something happen. So I have the two wires here, so I touch them now, and you see it immediately turns yellow on the Central Station 3, and when I release, it turns gray again. So gray means it's not occupied, and yellow, you see like here, means that it's occupied. If you saw when I was doing the configuration before, it was also showing red at some point in time. That basically means it doesn't know what the state is. But this is basically how the S88 works. When the wires are connected, you see yellow. When they're not connected, you see gray. We see yellow and we see gray. And this is what we're going to use for our train detection. So let's look at how to install the S88. So the standard S88, which is the 60881. So we have that one here, and basically we need to connect the wires in the same way as we did for the Link88. So I already have a brown wire prepared here. It has a spade connect on one end and basically just twist it in the other end. All right, so I need to, let me just try and zoom in. I need to connect. Remember, the first triplet here is the ground 1, 2. So I basically just need to connect or insert this one to the ground. Oh, let me see. Oh, I'm missing a hand here. Okay, so now we have that there. And then I just need to screw it in place. All right. So we give it a little tug. The wire is connected. Excellent. Then we need a gray wire. So I have a gray wire here. And in the same fashion, I have one end with a spade connector and one end that's just twisted. Don't forget to solder the spade connector as well. So we connect that here in port 1. Remember, you can connect it to any of the 16 port. I'm just going to start with the port 1. So I'm going to connect it here. Okay. And then I'm going to take my screwdriver and then screw it in. Okay. And then we have that connected. We give it a tug. All right. Let me just zoom out a little again. So now I have the S88 prepared with the ground and port 1. So now I just need to connect the cable we have to the Central Station 3, or actually to the S88. So I need to connect it to the one here where it points away from the device, so it points out of the contact. So I basically want to connect it there, and you can see there's kind of a little handle here on top. There's also, you see it's squared, and then there's something on top, so the handle here needs to go up. So you can basically just push it in, and now you see it's in. When it's in like this, you can also just push the handle here, and then you can pull it out again. So that's why the handle is there. You can actually push it and then pull it out again. Okay, so we click that in place. And then the other end here, I could connect it to one of two places, right? So I have my Central Station 3 here with the Link88 from before. So I could either connect it directly to the Central Station 3 Plus, if I got that one. If I only have the Central Station 3, I need to connect it to the Link88, right? So if I look at the Link88, remember there is here, oh, all right, it's upside down. There's bus 1, there is bus 2, and basically it's either bus 1 or bus 2 you connect it to, not bus 3, but you can also see bus 3 has a different connector. It's the same thing here. You can see it's a square where there's something on top. We make sure that the little handle here, so you see the handle, that needs to go up, so then we can plug it into the Link88, right? However, let me first start by, so we push the handle and then we pull out again. Let me start by connecting it directly to the Central Station 3. So we have the Central Station 3 here. We turn it over. And you see here on the bottom, we got the same thing. There's a connector, it's a square, and then there's something here on the top. So the handle needs to be turned to the top. So we got here the handle, we twist it around, and then we basically insert it here. And then we can turn our Central Station around again, and be careful with all the wires you got, and especially now because I got it stuck. All right. Okay. So, and then we basically have it connected. So let me start it up. I have started the Central Station 3 after I connected the Märklin 60881, so the standard S88 AC, to the built-in port of the Central Station 3 Plus. So how do I find this? Well, I basically just go ahead and create the article. I don't need to look for the device anywhere. I don't need to look for an update or something like that, because it's actually built into the Central Station 3. So I pull down the green tab at the top. I pull it down so I actually can see my accessories. This time I'm going to do it differently. So I'm going to hit edit, and I'm going to hit edit article list. So when I'm inside edit article list, I can hit the plus here, but I can also go over here up in the top left hand corner, and then I can select one of the tabs here. So you can see my Link S88 is still here, so that's still attached, but I can also connect to my GFP3-1. So I do that. I select that one, which is the internal one. I can create a new device. It calls it K2. If you go down here to the lower part of the screen here, name in the left hand side, I click on that. I'm actually gonna call it I1 instead, because I want port 1. I click OK. You can see down here it says bus. I can select which bus it is. There is really only one bus to choose from. Now I can select the module, and I can actually select here a higher number. However, since this is the first one connected, I need to select 1. So I make sure it's 1. I hit OK. And then I can select the contact. You see that down here, the contact number 1. That is also OK. So now I'm actually ready to test it out. You see it's red, my contact right now, because it doesn't know what the state is. So I hit OK. And then let me just click the filter up here and then select the S88 contacts. And now you see I have the I1 and the K1. Now we also need to remember when we're using the internal S88 to set the settings for it. In order to do that, remember to pull down the green tab, which I already did here. Click the system. If you're not on the correct page, you can click back. And then you have all the blue settings here to the left. You can click system. And now I need to choose the TFP3. I click on this one. Underneath the TFP3 over here you see GFP3-1. That is actually the internal S88. I scroll down and then I find settings. I open settings. I scroll down, and one setting I need to set here is the length of the S88 bus. So for each device I put on there, I need to increase the length. So if I have one S88 on the internal bus, then it must be 1. If I have 11, then it must be 11. However, I usually set it for the number of S88s I have on there plus 1. So in this case, I would set it for 2. Now, is it bad if the number is too high? As I understand the manual, not really. However, it is bad if it's too low. So I'm back with all my devices, and it's starting to look a little like a cable mess. So I got my Central Station 3 here. I got my Link88 over here, and then I got my standard S88 here. That's connected with the blue wire that goes here, and it goes actually into the Central Station 3 Plus. I can only do this on the Plus, and it's connected to the underside. I got my brown wire, and then I got my gray wire here. Let me just try and zoom in. So we can see here on my S88, the brown wire is connected to ground, and the gray wire is connected to port 1. All right. That means I can do the same test as before, and please keep an eye on the Central Station now. So I can basically, let me just move it a little closer. So I have the brown here. So basically, every time the gray touches the brown, we should see a change on the Central Station 3. So let me try that. I connect it, and you see the I1 turned yellow. I disconnect. It's gray. I connect again, and the I1 is yellow again. Of course, now since I got the Link88 connected as well, I can do the same thing with the Link88. So I pull it over. I find the wires on the Link88. So I got here the brown wire on the Link88, and I got here the gray wire on the Link88. So brown here, gray over here, and I can connect these two, and you see now K1, which is the one I configured before, is yellow, gray, yellow. So in this way, I can actually have all my S88 connected at the same time, both the Link88, but also the regular S88 here connected directly to the Central Station Plus. All right, so here I have the Link88, and as you can see, I connected a lot more wires to it. So if we zoom in here, we see I have connected the ground wire, and then I got the next 4 wires as well as connected, which in essence mean port 1, port 2, port 3, and port 4 is connected. So now I got 4 contacts, but remember I only have 3 contacts Actually, sorry, I only have one contact created on my central station tree, so I need to create the last 4. All right, let me go ahead and do that. So we are back on the central station tree. I want to create the remaining 3 contacts. In order to do that, I'm going to go into edit, and I'm going to go into edit article list. So it's the Link88. So I'm going to go up in the top left hand corner where it says solenoid accessories right now. I click on that one. Remember, if I wanted to add additional contacts for the internal S88 in the central station tree plus, then I use the GFP3-1. However, I want to add to the Link88. So I click on that one. We see there's already a K1. I'm going to hit plus. So here comes another one. We go and inspect in the bottom. It's K2. It says it's direct. I cannot change the module, but it's contact 2. So everything actually magically turned out exactly as I wanted to. So I can just hit plus again. I get a 3. I double verify. It's contact number 3. It says direct. Excellent. I click again. It says K4. And it's direct, and it's contact number 4. Don't forget that you can always go back. If I click on 2 over here, so you see now K2 is blue, then I can go down, and then I can change the name, I can change the bus, I can change the module, and I can change the contact number as well. All right, let me go back to my Link88. All right, I'm back at my Link88, and you can also see the central station. So I'm gonna take all my wires here and pull them up. There's one connector here. We go to the end and find all the others. Yes, it's a little of a wire mess. There's one connector here as well. We search on. There's one here. So now I got 3 connectors. All right. And I got here my number 4. All right. So now I got all 4 connectors. And remember, they are each connected to my Link88 on the first 4 ports. Honestly, I don't know which one is connected to which here, so that will be interesting to find out. So remember, I have the brown one here, and then I basically just want to connect each one of them here to see that it actually works. So I'm just going to take the first one here, and you can see K3 actually turned yellow. I'm going to take the next one, that's this one here, and you can see K2 turned yellow. Was it actually K3 before? Yes, it was K3, K2, and then the next one here, that's K4, and then the last one, that's K1. So now you see all of my wires actually work. They are connected to the Link88, and they work on the central station tree. Now let's do a small recap from how the contact track actually works. For all the details and how to wire and troubleshooting and so on, please go ahead and look at the video on creating and troubleshooting a contact track, which is the automation episode 2. So here we see the track from the end. So we got the 2 rails and they are actually disconnected, the rails. One of the rails is the powered rail, so it's connected to the brown wire from the central station, and the other one is not connected, and that is the detection rail. Now the idea is we put a wire on the detection rail, and then we figure out when does this rail actually turn brown or 0 as it says, right? So when a locomotive and or a car comes on the track, then the brown detection or brown powered rail will actually, the electricity will go through the wheels, through the axles, and to the other rail, and the other rail will turn brown. And then we have actually detected that there is a train and or a car on the tracks. If we add the S88 to the picture, basically the only thing we do is we take the ground wire. I know it's illustrated with the black here, but it is actually a brown wire I'm using. So I take the ground and I connect that to the powered rail, and then we have a wire, a gray wire that connects to the detection rail on one of the ports here. In that sense then, when the train or locomotive or the cars is there, then the brown electricity will go through the wheels, through the axles, through the other rail to the detection rail. It'll go through the gray wire into the S88, and it will actually detect that there's a train present. Now let's connect all the wires to the contact track as well. So I have my track here, which I already connected to the central station 3, so it's powered. What I want to do is I want to have this as the powered rail and this as the detection rail. All the details are in the video about creating and troubleshooting a contact track, so I'm just going to do it quickly here. So in essence, what I want to do is I want to connect the brown wire from the central state or from the Link88. I want to connect that to the powered rail, so the ground here. However, if we look at this one, this is the powered rail and there's a connection here, and that's only room for the power. So what I will do is I will quickly grab another rail. I'll connect that to it, and then in order to connect to the powered rail on this one, I need to connect out here. So I connect the brown wire to the 0. All right. And then I grab my detection wire. I'm just going to grab one random detection wire here, and I want to connect that to the detection rail. So remember, this is the detection rail here that's furthest away from me. That's this one over here. So I'm going to connect to that one. All right. And now I have my first contact track. I can test it by taking a freight car. It needs to have AC wheels, and I'm just going to put it on here. And I can't. When it connects, we see a K4 actually lights up. So that's really nice. So that actually means now that the contact track is working. I can pull it off and it turns gray again. All right, so now I want to extend the contact area. So this is the K4 I had from before. I'm going to add an additional track. I have added the insulator here on the detection rail. You see it's right below the detection rail on the peg furthest away from the center. I'm going to add another track here. All right, and then I'm just going to grab a random port here as well. And then I need to connect here to the detection rail. So the detection rail is the one that's furthest away from me, which is that one. I turn it around. It's over here. I connect it to the 0. Okay. And then hopefully I will have success. So the track actually divides there. I put my freight car on the track, and you can see the K4 lights up. I drive over, and now you can see K2 actually lights up. And I can go back, and it's K4 and it's K2. So this is the way I connected the magic gray wires in the creating and troubleshooting the contact track. Let's have a look in the manual on how you connect many devices to the Link88. So here we have the picture from the manual. You see here at the bottom, you see the Link88. It's connected to a power supply. Remember, you can use the 66360, which is for the 240 volts, or the 66367, which is for the 120 volts. Then the Link88 is connected to the central station 3. And then we got 3 buses. We got bus 1, bus 2 over here, and bus 3 in the center. Each of the buses, bus 1 and bus 2, you can add 31, so a maximum of 31, and you can add the S88 AC or S88 DC. So the S88 AC is the Märklin 60881, and the S88 DC is the Märklin 60882. So to bus 1 you can add 31, however you can also add 31 to bus 2 at the same time. That means that you get up to a total maximum of 32 devices if you are using the S88 AC or the S88 DC, which are the Märklin 60881 and 60882. So you can use a maximum of 62 devices connected to it. You can also, to the bus 3, connect a maximum of 31 of the older style S88, which is the 6088 or the 60880. And as I understand it, all devices can be connected at the same time. If you read up here in the manual, it says a maximum of 31 of the old and or 62 connected to it. However, I would caution you, if you get up in those numbers, maybe something will act a little more funky. However, if that's the case, you can actually connect multiple Link88s to the central station 3. So if you look down here on the wire, it says you can connect to CS2, CS3 or terminal. So there's actually a 60145 you can connect to the central station 3. That one will actually enable you to connect multiple devices to one port, and to that port specifically we need to connect to. So that means that if I remember right, the 60145, actually you can connect 4 units to that one. So that means you can connect 4 Link88 to it, each of those having 62 of the S88 AC or the S88 DC. So that already adds up to a lot of feedback contacts you can connect to one central station 3. And by the way, you can connect multiple terminals to the central station 3 as well. To be quite honest, I'm not even sure what the limit is, but for sure it's much bigger than what I need. Let's look at how we connect all of these S88s together. So here I got my Link88. Remember, that has to be the first one because it has a wire here that goes directly into the central station 3. It has to have a wire to the power supply as well. It's still connected to this contact track here. So you see the power from the central station 3 is connected here. And if I turn this around here, I got the brown wire to the Link88. I still got the K4 connected here to the track as well. So how do I connect an additional S88? So I have one right here. Give me just a second. All these long wires. So here I got the S88 like this. And do remember, if you have, when you want to connect it to something, go in the direction of the arrow. So this one goes towards the central station 3. So this needs to be connected towards the central station 3 in order to do it correctly. That means that this port here needs to be connected such that it goes to the Link88. So I have that here. So Here I have the other end of the blue wire. I basically just need to connect it here on the Link88. Let me see if I can zoom in a little because it's difficult for me to move it. There's bus 1 and bus 2, so I can connect it to either one of these two. So I'm going to connect it to bus 2. Remember, we look in here, take the square, we see something above. We have the handle here. We basically just push it in. Don't forget to do all of this without any power. I have here the brown wire. So here the brown wire from the S88 that I just added to it. This one I also need to connect. So I can do two things here. I can either connect it to the track, or I connect it to the ground of the one it's connected to. I'm gonna connect it to the powered rail on the track. So in order to do that, I need to connect it to this one here. That's the powered rail. Okay, so now I got that connected to the powered rail. I have here on the S88 port 1 also connected. You see the gray wire goes into port 1. I can take the other end of this here. Here we have the other end. Okay, and I can connect that to the detection rail. So remember, this is the detection rail. I need this end here, so I need the 0 in this end. So I basically just connect it here. And while I was doing all this finagling, I see my brown popped out. So I need to make sure that the brown goes back to the powered rail. So the brown here in this case is the contact. All right. So now I got everything connected. It's hard to see with all these wires, but I got the Link88. It has the brown wire here from the ground connected to the powered rail. I got the power from the central station 3 to the center and to the powered rail. I got brown, or let's say port 4 from the Link88. That gray wire goes in and connects to the detection rail. And then I got the other one over here, S88. It also has a brown wire. It's here. And it goes in and connects to the powered rail over here. That means basically that I have the same brown on this Link88, on the S88, and on the central station 3, right? So I need to make sure those are connected together, those browns. And then I took port 1 over here and I connected that underneath this rail here to the detection as well. Now I could connect yet another S88. How do I do that? Well, you see there's another free port, this one here, that's basically going into the connector. So can I zoom in? So that's this one here. It goes into the connector, so I can connect the next S88 here. However, let me just keep it to this. So let me go ahead and power on the central station 3. And don't forget the power supply for the Link88. Okay, so I'm back on the central station 3. And remember, I connected the S88 to the Link88. So now I want to add a contact to this one. I do that by going into Edit Article List. And then I go here in the upper left-hand corner and make sure it says Link88. Remember, if I was on the central station 3 Plus and I was using the built-in 88, then I would choose the GFP3, right, which is this one, but that's not the one I want. I want the Link S88-1. And now I want to make the first contact on port N1 on the one I just connected. So I hit plus, and now I get a new contact. We go down and inspect. It says K5. Honestly, I don't want it to be called K5, but I'll correct that afterwards. But the first very important thing I need to change is actually the direct here, so the bus. I need to set it to the bus I actually connected the S88 to. and that was bus 2. So I connected it to bus 2. And then I have to choose here which module it is. If you look at this, this is actually a number. The highest number you can put in here is 31. Oh, 31. Okay. See, I cannot go above 31 if I do that. That's because on each of the buses there can be a maximum of 31 modules. However, this was the first module after the Link 81 or 88. So I basically call this module 1. Now, if you are adding a second one, so one you connected to the S88 we just had, that would be module 2. So now we have module 1, we got bus 2. I'm almost happy. I just want to make sure that the contact here is the correct port as well, because that was port 1. I go in and I change this to 1. So now I have bus 2, module 1, and contact 1. Let me give this a name. So I'm just going to give this contact. So that's the Link 88. And I'll just call it contact B2 for bus 2. And then it's module 1. And then it's contact 1. Okay. And now I got that one ready. In the same way, I can add additional either modules, buses, or contacts as I see fit. Let's go out of this one here. Another thing you need to be aware of is if everything is set up correctly inside the Central Station 3. So I showed you basically how the devices work by just connecting them out of the box. However, there's a couple of settings you may have to set. In order to do that, remember to pull down the green tab. We go to the top left and we go into System. If we are not in the correct setting here, which we are not, then we click back. And then you go to all the, you can see all the blue settings here. And then we can click System. When we're here, we go down and we go down and we find the Link S88. And now we go to the bottom here where it says Settings. We open this up and then we scroll down. So what you see here is you can change the name. That's okay. But however, what is really important is the settings here of the length of the bus. So you see length of the bus, bus 1, length of the bus, bus 2, length of the bus, bus 3. So what is important here is that Central Station 3 will only query each module out there depending on how many it thinks this is on the bus. So in this case, you see length of bus 1 is 1. So that's because now it will only think there's a maximum of 1 S88 on bus 1. So if on bus 1 you connect 2 S88, then only the first one will work. So if you have 2 on there, then you must go in and alter this value to 2. So usually what I do is I count the number of modules and then I add an extra one just to be sure. So I will put in a 3 here if there's 2 out on there. And why do I do that? Because honestly, it says it will go wrong if the number is too little, but not if it's too high. So I'm unsure why you have to, why you cannot just set it to the maximum value. However, I would say always set it to the number of modules you have out there. So right now I don't have any. And then I think the smallest number I can set, I don't believe I can set 0. Well, I could actually set 0, but I will always choose to set 1 above the number of modules I have there, just in case I connect one and forget to increment it. You see here on the bus 2, it's set for 31. I don't know if that's because it actually detected one in there and automatically set it, or if that's how it defaults comes out of the box. However, right now in my setup, I only got 1 S88, So I could change this to 1, but just to be sure, I usually set it to +1, so 1 + 1, which is 2. However, since the default here seems to be 31, I think I'm just gonna let it sit and then see what happens. All right, now I'm back on my little test here, and yes, it has become quite a wire mess. So let me just test it out and see if it works. I got my trusted freight car here with AC wheels as before. I basically put that on the track, and you see that K4 lights up. Okay, here's the insulator, and over here it should be the other S88. So we roll it over, and then we see that it is indeed the other contact. So now it's my CB2-1-1 that actually is lighting up, and I can roll it back again, and then you see it's K4. Excellent. Now we know everything about the S88 and the Link88. And if you think about it, it's really not that difficult. You get the Link88, you connect it to your central station tree. There's a bunch of wires going out of there. You got a brown wire, which is the ground. You got some gray wires, which is for each port that you can use. Then there's a set of buses on your Link88. In this case, I connected to bus 2. There I can connect more S88s. So this one here is the Märklin 60883, that's Link88. The normal ones are the Märklin 60881. You can connect that one to the Link88 on one of the buses. In this case, it's bus 2. The wire here goes to the is the ground. So the brown is the ground, and then you got 16 ports. Again, you can connect another one. So in this case, it's another 60881 with a bunch of wires as well. Inside the central station tree, you need to make sure that when you make the contacts, you specify, first of all, the correct Link88 or the internal central station plus S88. If you got multiple Link88s, remember to specify the correct one. Then you need to specify which bus it is. So on the Link88, there's bus 1, 2, 3. In this case, the additional ones are on bus 3. There's also a direct you can choose. And then you need to say which of the ports it is. Finally, you need to remember the first one that's connected to the Link88 is number 1, and the second one is number 2 on the same bus. So this one out here is bus 2, number 2, right? So it's easy to test. You basically just take the brown wire. Well, let me do it on this way in here. The brown wire and the gray wire, and when you touch these two, it will actually show up on the central station tree. The two things that I always seems to do wrong is I forget there's an external power supply on the Link88, and I forget to turn this one on, and then nothing works, and you keep on troubleshooting and can't figure out why. The other thing is, inside the central station tree, do make sure that the settings for the bus length is correct. So the bus length, right? So in this case, I got a Link88 and I got 2 devices on here. So I need to set the bus length for bus 2, which is the ones they're connected to on the Link88, to 2 or more. I usually set it to a +1. When all of this is connected to the track, all of the, and you're using contact track, all the brown wires go to the powered rail, all the gray wires go to the detection rail. Then you can take a trusted car, preferably a freight car with AC wheels, and then you can actually test it on the track doing that. The final thing to add is here I'm only showing the Märklin 60881, which is the S88 AC. There's also the S88 DC, which is the 60882. You can actually mix and match those two devices on bus 1 and 2 as you see fit, which even means that you can have a mixed layout with both DCC and the 3-rail Märklin on the same track. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions or maybe even experiences, tips or tricks, put it in the comments below. And I hope I will see you on the next video. Enjoy!